Greetings and welcome to my little internet dimension. I am the professional alien, and today we're going to be talking about how I quit my job in recent months and how I've been dealing with navigating my grief since losing my father back in February. So sit back, relax, buckle in, and I hope that you enjoy today's topic and get something out of it. So I can't say the name of this company because I'm pretty sure that they like sent me paperwork after I quit, basically making me like agree to not ever mention them by name if it was going to be something that could potentially be perceived as slander. And though I won't be slandering them in any way, I don't have time for these people to come after me telling me like, yeah, we found this video on YouTube, we're suing you. Don't got time for that. I ain't got no money for y'all to sue me. When I make it big on YouTube, then I'll say their name. And then they can sue me all they want and I won't care. No, I'm kidding. That's kidding. Don't sue me. I don't ever want to give y'all money. But yeah, so we'll start there. So back in June, May. Back in May, I applied for a job working at an adult store because for those of you who don't know, I do I create content online, we support sex workers. This is a support sex worker profile. So if that's not something that aligns with your values, don't give me hate speech in the comments. Literally just if you don't support it, then you don't have to support me, and that's perfectly fine. I completely let people have whatever opinions that they want to have as long as you're not being harmful to others. That's point blank how I feel about it. So I started a job at an adult store because, hey, I like adult things. And so I started this job and I was really excited. Like the interview process went really well. I had one interview. I was basically hired on the spot. And this is where I should have known that there was some fuckery, y'all, because I was hired on the spot, told to come in a few days later to start my onboarding. And during my onboarding, I was told, oh yeah, by the way, you might want to carry some mace or something like that. You can't bring any weapons on property, but you might want to carry some mace because we have some stuff go down in our parking lot. You're not allowed to go in the parking lot alone by yourself, whether in the early morning before we open, because we would go in an hour before opening to set up, or at night. You would always be walked to your car. We don't allow people to walk to their cars alone. If you do, like, we're standing in the doorway to watch you because there's some shady stuff that goes around in this area. And so that was red flag number one, and honestly was really one of the first things that kind of planted a seed in the back of my mind of, you might not be staying here as long as you thought you might. Because I figured, hey, I might give them at least a year of my life. I'm still trying to figure stuff out. I had paused kind of posting on YouTube and things, and so I thought I was going to be there for a little bit, but that was kind of the first thing to have me like, what? And then you're telling me I can't have weapons, but there's nothing stopping customers from coming in here with weapons. So yeah, it was a lot, y'all. So my first 2 weeks that's when I first started noticing that we had a lot of people that were shoplifting. And like I said, I support sex work. Sex work is real work. So, but what bothers me was that a lot of the people that were coming in shoplifting were full service sex workers who didn't have control over their own finances or over their own work. So they did in fact have pimps. And I'm not saying this as like I think they had pimps kind of thing. No, they had pimp. We worked near a hotel that kind of wrapped around the outer outskirts of our building, and we would, like, I was told, like, there will be situations where you will see people being attacked in the parking lot by their pimps or something like that. And I was basically told that we couldn't call the police. And so, one, I know for a fact that the manager who told me that was lying, and she was just a weirdo. And that was one of the many reasons that I actually chose to leave, because this particular manager on more than one occasion lied on me and actually got me in trouble to the point that I almost was fired from this job, and actually almost had like some people looking at me kind of sideways just because this lady was like lying on me and putting me in really weird situations. And this was a manager. So After like I don't even think I made it to 90 days, y'all. I didn't even make it to 90 days. And I think that part of that is because I put in my 2 weeks notice, but I gave them a 3 weeks notice. And my 3 weeks notice would have ended at my 90 days, which would have made me eligible for filing for unemployment. But they made sure to snip me right at a week before that so that they wouldn't have to pay me unemployment, which is fine. I don't really care. I didn't really care about this job enough to care about unemployment from it. But this job was just really weird, and there was a lot of situations where I was actually like in danger, and it was kind of dismissed. Like it was kind of like the company themselves, like at the lower levels, at the people working there, like we cared, and it was kind of like we gave a fuck about the fact that it was unsafe. But when it was going up the ladder, it was like nobody was caring. Like we definitely needed security. They wouldn't give us security. I think that they hired security literally like the week that I quit. And that was why I put it in my 2 week notice. I sent them an email, and I did that on purpose. I did it intentionally with hopes that with me putting in writing that one of the reasons that I am leaving is for my personal safety, they would take it serious enough to um get them some security. And so apparently they did. Now I haven't been there to tell y'all whether or not they actually did, but it was something that they did promise them. And it was just really weird. Like we would have people coming in doing all types of stuff. We had this one guy who he was probably on drugs, and he would come in and he would like it's y'all, it's strange. He would come in and he was really nice. Like he would speak, but then he would actually start like tripping in the store. And like when you're a staff of women or femme presenting people, it kind of puts you in a position where things are a little more dangerous for you, especially when you're told you can't have any kind of weapons. We don't have anything to make sure that you can like protect yourself or others. You can't even get into an area that would be a little more protection from just like the openness of our floor without having to enter codes and stuff. So you're kind of like in like danger. And so this guy would come in and he would be like normal at first, and then he would actually start like tripping. Like one day he came in and he was just like going back and forth to the hand sanitizer and putting it in his hands and like rubbing it in his hair and going back and rubbing it in his hair. And like it's one of those scenarios where it's like, okay, well, I don't even know if I can say anything to you or if I want to, because is this gonna put me like in danger? Like, are you gonna do something to me? And I don't want it to sound like, oh, I think that drug addicts are dangerous or anything like that, because like I grew up around, a lot of different people from different walks of life who handled different things and had to deal with different things, such as drug addiction, mental illness, things like that. So I'm not in any way saying, like, oh, because this person was on drugs, he was unpredictable and he was dangerous. That's not what I'm going for. However, different people can be dangerous when you don't know what could set them off. And this was one of those scenarios where we didn't know what could set this guy off, because he could come in really nice some days and he could come in like kind of menacing on other days, and we couldn't actually tell him he had to leave because he hadn't done anything at that point up until one day when I showed up and I was told, yeah, he's officially banned from the property, because my manager had pulled up and found him like completely naked laying on the side of the building, like knocked out. And he was naked, y'all, because it's hot. Like it was like 100 and something degrees. But y'all, like, I don't know why he was outside the building. I don't know to this day. It baffles me. After that scenario and another situation where I kind of was like, okay, I keep having this manager lying on me, and it's ending up with me looking like a shady employee, which I've never had to deal with in my life. I've never worked somewhere where they were thinking that I was like doing weird things, until I worked with this person who was like telling me things that I could do that actually were against policy, that I did not know were against policy. And so that resulted in me being pulled to the side and told, like, this is against policy. You're at the verge of being let go, which at that point I had already put in my 2 weeks notice. It wouldn't have mattered if they had let me go, because I literally was waiting out my last like 3 days worth of shifts. It wouldn't have mattered. But regardless, I'm, looking like some kind of way, and it's like, okay, well, say I do have to come back to this job because, quarantine is kind of weird right now. We don't know what's going on. I can't even get rehired here, possibly because this lady's lying on me and putting me in situations, and they would not fire this manager, y'all. And that's what made me the maddest. she was literally responsible for someone walking out on a shift when I was there. And it was because she was antagonizing this employee and was being very rude to this employee, to the point that she thought she was going to do the same shit to me. And I had to point blank, like, check her ass in front of a store full of customers. Because what I'm not going to do is stand here and let you disrespect me, especially when I'm not a disrespectful person. And I don't like for people, like, I am a grown ass person. You are not about to come and be like raising your voice at me in a store full of customers and thinking that I'm about to talk to you like I'm talking to this camera. Oh no. So that resulted in me checking her ass. And it also resulted in my other coworker full on like quitting, like on the spot. They quit. They were trying to have a conversation with the manager. The manager like called them out of their name to me. They called them a bitch to me. And that employee was like, yeah, like, I apologize, but I'm leaving. And I was like, I don't blame you. Go ahead. I'm going to finish out my shift and then, like, I'm gone. And then I had to spend the rest of my shift with this manager, like, threatening to hand me the keys and walk out on me. And I'm like, what you're not going to do is hand me keys and walk out of here. Because I promise you, if you go to hand me some keys, I'm just going to walk right past your ass and leave myself. We're not doing that. I don't have time for things like that. You're too old for this. I'm too old for this. Do your job. Stop being a weirdo. And let's go home at the end of our shift. It's really not that hard. So, after having to witness several different situations of like different people being put in danger, including myself, after one day walking in and being told, like, oh yeah, somebody got shot in our parking lot last night, and then being like, well, why are we here today? And then be like, oh well, he lived, like, again, same from the same manager's mouth, who was like a pathological liar. Like, I don't know what this lady's problem is, but she would just open her mouth and lie to you for absolutely no reason. Like, ma'am, it's 9 a.m. Why are you lying to me about something that I did not even ask you about? That was something that I had to deal with her, that was like getting on my goddamn nerves, and I couldn't deal with it. And after the coworker walked out, and after being lied on, and after all these different situations where I'm like, I don't feel safe, I finally was like, you know what? My mental health cannot handle this. I got this job because I was already in a place where mentally I couldn't be within the four walls of my home all the time anymore. And I thought this job was going to be kind of like something to take my mind away from it and just like help me through my grieving process and keep me kind of like busy and focused on something other than like crying. But like, I'm here every day and now I'm crying because I hate this job, and I don't have time to be crying over hating no job when I could be at home making YouTube videos and pursuing the things that I'm passionate about. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I quit. So that was back in July. And now we are in August. It's August 21st when I'm recording this. And I have been kind of wanting to record and still going through like my emotional stuff. And that's kind of like where this video came from, because I've wanted to make this video since I quit. But, it's kind of hard to get on camera and talk about like your grieving process and how hard of a time you're having. I've tried to sit down and record this video quite a few times, and I haven't been able to make it through it just because it's a lot. It's a lot. Have you ever had to quit a job? And if so, how did you come to the decision to leave? Leave a comment below and let me know about your experience. So, like I said, I lost my father back in February, and this is the first major loss I've ever had to deal with. And my father, like my daddy, he was a light in my life. I love that man dearly, so very dearly. And so I've never had to deal with grief in such an extreme way before, and I didn't expect it to affect me the way that it's been affecting me, but it has been a lot. Me and all of my siblings, my father had 7 of us, and we all kind of like traveled from all over the United States, from different states that we all live in, to go and see my father and tell my father goodbye. And that was a hard process, and it's been a hard process since. And so I've just been grieving and trying to navigate this, and it's different because we sit and we talk about like, oh yeah, everybody needs therapy. And I needed therapy even before my father passed. But then I decided to kind of take it seriously because I was spending so many of my days sitting in this room just crying, you know? And so finally I reached out to my friends and I was just like, hey, y'all, you know, I'm having a hard time. And one of my friends put me in contact with my now therapist. And, you know, I've been going to her back and forth. And for a little while when I was working, or after I stopped working, so literally since about, I haven't seen her since like the end of June, because once I quit that job, I couldn't afford to go. And so now I've been back in my room, pretty much crying almost every day. And it's just been a lot. And it's been one of those things that, like, it's hard to not feel kind of like guilty when you're like calling your friends all the time and you're like crying to your friends and you're calling, you know, I call my mom all the time and I'm crying to my mom, and I call my siblings and I'm crying to my siblings, and you know, trying to work through this and wondering like, am I grieving properly? Which I keep having to be reminded, like, there is no proper way to grieve. Like, grief is different for every person, and grief can take a long time, and grief isn't something that, you know, is gonna just go away overnight, or you can't just talk yourself out of your grief, because, you know, it's just not possible. And so I just wanted to come and be a little bit transparent about that, because I want to continue creating on YouTube and I don't want to stop, and I'm not gonna stop. But I did take a pretty long hiatus, and I'm just like, you know, I gotta get on here. And I guess I didn't have to, but I wanted to. It was something that for me was like, my page is meant for me to be both creative but also be myself. And part of being myself is being able to admit that right now I am in a really, really vulnerable place in my life. And I don't even know, like, some people, I'm not gonna lie. So I know that I follow a few different creators who've also, you know, had loss recently, and I don't know how they are managing to pump out videos still, but I like admire it so much, because there are so many days that I sit down and I get in front of this camera and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make a video. And even the fact that, like, I have a vlog for y'all, I swear it's gonna come. I really do. I have a vlog that I recorded that I just haven't been able to bring myself to edit and submit. But I also got a new laptop. And so as a result, the editing software that I've been so determined that I want to learn how to use, which is Davinci Resolve, which just ordered that laptop, haven't done much other than open the box and tell it how beautiful it is for the past 2 or 3 days. But I'm going to start learning how to use Davinci Resolve through it. And yeah, so I wanted to give y'all this update. This video might not even make a lot of sense, just because it's kind of all over the place. But I really just wanted to use this as a moment to kind of like give some transparency for why I have been gone. Give y'all a little bit of an insight for like what I'm going through, and really as a means of like holding myself accountable enough to get a video out, because I've wanted to get a video out and I've just kind of been just, I want to say, too sad to do it. But now I'm here. I'm gonna come back. Y'all are gonna see this vlog that I recorded for y'all like 2 months ago. If you are going through something that I've had to be reminded by some of my friends very much recently is, it's okay to feel everything that you feel. It's okay to go through every emotion that you're going through. And no one can tell you how to handle that or how to deal with that or how to navigate that but you and your body. And it's okay to take breaks and it's okay to take a step back. But, you know, at the end of the day, you got to push through it. Because if you don't push through it, you're going to sit up and you're going to be thinking like, oh man, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I'm just so sad and I just can't. And the reality is that you can. And it's going to be hard, and you might get in front of this camera, or you might sit down to draw, or you might sit down to do whatever it is that you enjoy and you're passionate about, and you might just break down. And that's okay. And as long as you are at least making the effort, that's what matters the most. And that's something that I've had to be kind of more patient with myself about in these last few months. But you have to be able to give yourself that patience, because you deserve that patience in just the same way that you deserve to be able to feel whatever it is that you feel and process it in whatever way is best for you. But that's all I wanted to say, y'all. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please share it. I'm still on that road to 1,000 subscribers. And since I've spent the last like 6 months in a deep depression. It has very much affected me trying to get to that 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours. And I'm actually very much creeping on the date of my 12 months where if I don't get it, I got to start all the way over. So I could use any of the support, any of the shares, any of the engagement that y'all could get thrown my way. I deeply appreciate it. I appreciate y'all sticking around my page, coming and checking out my content, and being here to support me, because a few of you have like commented on some of my videos, especially when I did make the little announcement about the passing of my father, and you gave me really kind words and really good words, really nice words of really nice words of encouragement. And I don't want you to think that that fell on deaf ears. It definitely didn't. I sometimes go back and I read those because it makes me feel a little bit better to know that there are people that do understand and that y'all are here to support me through whatever. If you made it to the end of this video, please, please, please tell me, have you noticed that I've changed my intros almost every video for the last like 3 or 4 videos? If you have, tell me which one you prefer. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm just gonna change it up every single time, if I have one that I like more than the other. If you have one that you like more than any of the others, please let me know. If you have an intro that you'd like to see me do in a video, drop that below too, because that's actually really interesting. That's just about it. I'll catch y'all for the next one. Alien out.